We are live.
We are live. Live. How come I can't see it in Facebook? Should I be able to? I don't know. I guess we're live.
Says it on the screen. Says live.
It says we're live. We're live.
We are live.
Welcome to anyone out there from the Intimidating Man community. My name is Frank Tritini. I'm here with my friend Kevin Ogborn. Say hello, Kev.
Hey, how are you guys? Good to see you, Frank.
Yeah. So, Kev, I really appreciate your time and jumping on this broadcast or this stream or whatever we call it these days.
Yeah.
Have a conversation, right? That's all we're going to do is just basically have a conversation, post it in, doing live on Facebook. So it'll be there for the end of time.
For all to see forever.
All to see. The end of time, which is
the good, the bad, the ugly.
That's a bit scary, at least for me it is, to be honest with you. It's like, oh shit, I gotta be mindful of what I say because someone may see this in 30 years and it may taint my memory of my legacy. My legacy, right? That's one of the things that I'll talk about tonight a little bit, is legacy.
Yeah.
The legacy weekend that you just did, but I don't want to jump into that too soon. So people have learned a little bit through my group who I am. They're going to get to know me a little bit more, but just for the sake of this conversation, can you just tell them a bit about yourself, who you
are? Like me in a nutshell. Well, first of all, I am a father of 3 awesome kids. It's like one of my favorite roles in my life is being a dad. I got a 5-year-old son and a 7 and a 9-year-old daughter. My wife and I have been married for going on 12 years. We've been together for 16. We started dating like 16 years ago. And I am a business owner. I've been in my own. I've owned businesses since I was like 12 years old. I've always been sort of an entrepreneur. Always liked working for myself. I've owned a production company for the last 24 years. I've owned a construction company for about 4 years. I owned a landscape company when I was a teenager. So I've always just worked, done a bunch of different things. But I kind of really like to learn new things and do new things that are sort of challenging and exciting. So I've done a lot of crazy, weird things professionally. Give you an example. I was a professional stilt walker. I was a professional magician / juggler for a theme park. I was a professional dance instructor. I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. So just weird stuff. Anybody needed somebody, I'd be like, I'm your guy. I got it. So, but yeah, so I'm a Christian man. I'm very actively involved in my church. I've done youth ministry for like 15 years, helped with men's ministry for the last couple of years. And I just really enjoy trying to get people to do their best and to be their best. And that's kind of like a mantra of my life. And that's basically kind of leads me up to where I first met you is in that environment of just men trying to be the best that they can be. And I love that. I totally admire that agenda.
Yeah, it is great. And thank you for letting me. I didn't know that about you, about the stilt walking. That's
yeah. Yeah, when the Philadelphia Phillies won the championship. What's that?
How tall were the stilts?
Well, the tallest I've ever been was about 12 feet tall, which it's pretty scary when you're up there, especially if you're in crowds of people. But when the Phillies won the World Series in 2008, I actually led the parade down Broad Street, waving a giant Phillies flag. And there's pictures all over the internet. I was on the Jumbotron. I was on the local news. I was on everyone. So anyway. so
you're the shy type.
Yeah, very shy type. Yes, yeah. It's funny. My wife and I are like the perfect yin and yang. She's like the more quiet, reserved, and I'm more like, ah. So, yeah.
And that's great. We need that balance, right? A lot of times you need that
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
just to balance it out. So dial
You
it back.
can't have two of me in a relationship. You can't really have two of her in a relationship. Like we really do have a
That,
good thing going.
that's great. Um, and I want to just say this out there. I want to thank you again for coming on and opening up with us.
Yeah.
Uh, because everything that I do, at least, is confidential. When I work with
Yes.
men, when the men's circle, you've been to the men's circle that we have. It's everything is very clear confidentiality. The weekend that we're going to get into, they'll talk about a little about legacy discovery, legacy weekend. Um, every personal experience is confidential,
Yes.
but it was your experience, so you're allowed to talk about it.
Sure.
And that's unusual in this world, because especially for men, I find we go around with this mask on, right? It's like never let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
There was an ad campaign years ago, right? Never let them see you
Yeah.
sweat.
I remember
Right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like we wear that like a badge of honor. It's stoicism. That not the true stoicism, the philosophy of it, but being stoic. They're
Yep.
not going to see me, right?
Yeah.
Not the philosophy. The philosophy I agree with most parts of, but that don't let them see what's going on underneath here.
Yeah.
Really damaging.
Yeah.
It's like a cancer inside for me.
Mm.
Pain, I don't know what it is sometimes, and it can lead to all kinds of dysfunctions uh, internally and externally, in relationships and stuff, whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So it's I want to thank you for coming on and kind of taking your mask off in perpetuity.
Yeah. In perpetuity. Yeah.
Hey.
Here I am, guy. Yeah. Well, I mean, I gotta speak to that real quick. I am the most against that whole nonsense. And I always go straight on, call it just a total nonsense of like, we have to pretend like we don't have feelings, pretend like we don't have, thoughts or emotions. Because I mean, listen, the one thing that I have seen in men's work and in youth work is I've seen more hurt come from people who do not know how somebody that they love or care about feels about them. Parents, it can be whoever raised them, a guardian, whatever. I've seen more kids broken because they don't know if their parents love them. I've seen more husbands and wives broken because they don't know that their partner loves them. And I've seen more men just crushed and devastated because their fathers never said, I love you, I'm proud of you, whatever it is. And a lot of them can't reconcile with their parents because they've lost them. Like I lost. We're tomorrow. It'll be 2 years since I lost my father, and I count myself completely blessed with the fact that I knew exactly how my father felt about me. Um, I had some really, really close uh, relationship with him and conversations with him, and he was able to say, "I love you." He was able to show me that he was proud of me, and I can't tell you how rare that is, and how empowering it is for me as a man to know that the person who I looked up to so much. I'm gonna try not to lose it here, but the person who is my guy, my dad, my father, my mentor, my ace. And there's so many people who just do not know that. And fathers, if anybody, I don't care if this is 100 years from now and you stumble upon this video, if you have a son or a child, fathers, speak your heart and tell them that you love them, because it will change their life. And if you don't tell them that you love them, that's going to change their life too. So I can get off my soapbox on that, but I am just so against this concept that men aren't allowed to say what they feel.
Yeah. Well, we could wrap it up right there.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was very well said. And I was getting emotional as you were talking because, as you know, as I shared it during the weekend, I was that boy. I was the
Yep.
boy that didn't hear my father say, "I love you." I
Yep.
heard him say, "I'm proud of you." And fortunately, he showed me. Yeah, I mean, I had a good upbringing, had everything I wanted. Wasn't spoiled, but had everything I wanted. But we just didn't live in a very demonstrative, emotional space.
Yeah.
And um, what that did for me was I didn't learn how to manage those emotions as a boy. How could I know how to handle when someone told me they love me if I didn't hear that from my parents, right? So
Yep.
now he tells me they love me. It's like, oh, he loved you.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like you had that craving for it.
Yep.
Uh, and still to this day, I just not too long ago did with my girlfriend the quiz, the 5 love languages.
Yep. Yep.
Lo and
That's
behold,
so gold, by the way. That's
it's
so dead on.
it's a nice listen. It's a nice barometer to do to
Yeah.
kind of uh, know how to take care of someone, uh, and know how you want to be taken care of, and just like put
Yeah.
it out there. Say, here you go, honey. Want to make me happy? Do this.
Yeah.
Uh, and words of affirmation you know, are right up there for me with physical touch. They're like
Yep.
32% each or something like that.
Yeah.
I could care less about gifts.
Yeah. Same.
Uh,
Same.
I like
Yep.
stuff, but um, anyway. So how I grew up in that environment was I didn't know. I was emotionally um, not stunted because I had the emotions. I just didn't know what to do with them. Didn't know how to manage them. Didn't know how to manage them, so I wasn't taught. And that's a
Yeah.
skill. What I've come to learn is managing my emotions, managing our emotions as human beings is a skill.
Yeah.
It is a skill. It's because those emotions run deep for everybody, I believe.
Yeah.
And if you're out there saying, I'm not a very emotional person, I believe you're just really good. You've developed a skill of
Yeah.
squashing those emotions,
Yeah. Yeah.
squashing them because I've seen the toughest, most stoic men
Yeah.
burst into emotion. Right?
Yeah.
Feel it. So I know it's there. I
Yeah.
know it's there.
And they push it down, and then it just manifests itself in like ugly ways later on for no reason. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff comes out, and you're like, what the heck? Where's this coming from? And then I don't know, punch a
Yeah.
hole through a wall or something. Like, why did I do that?
Uh, Anger is an emotion that has to be expressed.
Yeah.
Anger is an emotion that will be expressed. It will not be denied. It will
Yeah.
not be denied. It
Yeah.
will not be denied.
Yeah.
Right? But unfortunately, a lot of times we express anger to the person we're most comfortable with because think of it as a child, right? The child um, knows exactly.
Excuse me.
Bless you. You
Thank
have
you.
3 children. I have 5 children.
Yeah.
My children know exactly what's going to happen. My 13-year-old was picking on his brother, his 11-year-old, and just this afternoon when it was an accident, but he happened and he hurt him. And I stopped what I was doing and I started walking towards him, and he hightailed it into his room. So if so, he knows exactly what's going to happen. Our kids
Yeah.
know exactly how we're going to react, even at
Yeah.
the worst, at the best, right? So it's easy. So we do the same thing. They can express their anger towards us because they know the result. But they go to a friend's house, and what do we get? We get, oh, they were so nice. They're so polite. They're so well behaved.
Yeah.
They like it.
Yeah.
Not that my kids are bad, but like we always hear that that's a typical theme. Well, because they don't know how that stranger is going to react in that same
Yeah.
situation, so they can't fully express themselves. So we do the same thing with anger. A lot of times people get angry with those that we're closest to, that are not
Yeah.
the source of the anger. Right? They're a we treat those that are closest to us sometimes. I have in the past,
Yeah.
like depository for my waste.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like it's supposed to be. I was reading about this because my wife struggles with my kids being really uh just letting her have it for some reason and just have an attitude and everything. And I was reading about that, and they say that the source of it is the comfort that the kids have around my wife allows them to fully express their full range of emotions, whereas they don't in other areas and with other people. So lucky my wife, she gets to get all the negative stuff because they actually feel comfortable around her in order to lay it all out there.
but listen. That's what children do.
Yeah,
We do the same as adults.
yeah,
Think about it. When you're angry, you get if you don't like if I have a business dealing, I don't know how to do it, and I'm angry in that situation, then who do I come home? My wife might, my woman might ask me, "How was your day, honey?" And,
yeah, yeah,
and it's not just telling the story, that
yeah,
your emotion comes out.
yeah,
So what if I could just tell the story and manage the emotion, dial it
yeah,
back, and let her see the frustration rather than the anger? Because me, when I'm frustrated, it gets expressed as anger.
yeah.
People they think I'm very angry, but I'm
Oh
just
yeah, yeah,
inside, I'm frustrated.
yeah,
Right? But I can't be frustrated. I have a hard time telling the person that I'm frustrated with that I'm frustrated with.
yeah,
Right? So it builds up. So when I can't, I believe when we can't express the appropriate emotion to the appropriate person, and anger being one of them, then we're going to express it somewhere else. And I think that's the biggest cause of road rage.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, we kind of got off on that tangent through you dropping your mask, right? So
Yeah.
then I want to appreciate you again for getting on and doing that, so that we can bring this message out there and maybe help a few people. So, how did you learn? Recently, we met, just for everyone out there listening. Kevin recently did the Legacy Weekend, which is a 3-day weekend, Friday evening, all day Saturday and all day Sunday, up in upstate New York. I'm the lead trainer of that weekend, producer with a whole bunch of other volunteers and a training team that worked with me for about 10 weeks. And one of Kevin's friends, Pierre Eid, introduced you to the weekend. So how did he twist your arm to get you?
Well, first of all, there wasn't a whole lot of twisting involved. It was Pierre is a pastor and I'm a man of faith, and we both just don't really believe in coincidences. And we happened to uh, probably a few weeks before the weekend, before the Legacy Weekend, we happened to just both be in the same spot at the same time. And he was going to be walking his dog, and I was going to go for a run in this park. And I said, why don't we just meet up? So we spent a while walking and chatting and everything. And I have this mission and this goal in my life to get involved more with motivational speaking and writing. And I have an events background. I've been working in event production, and I've owned my own company for 23 plus years. So I've done a bunch of different events. I've produced a bunch of different events. I've been the hype man and MC for hundreds and hundreds of events. Um, and now it's more focused on a specific thing where I'm not being paid by a marketing company in order to give their messaging and their key talking points, but instead I want to do something that's helpful and motivational for people. And I really have been feeling like more in the world of men, because I feel like they're particularly underserved. So underserved and underappreciated. And as a result, I think that we're seeing sort of ripple effects happen within the community where there's a lack of leadership, there's a lack of accountability. And all these different things stem from that foundational premise of having a leader, whether it's a spiritual leader of your home, whether it is the paternal backbone of the family. I mean, look at commercials. If you can see it happening for years now, where if you look at commercials in the last, say, 15, 20 years, the father has become the butt of the joke. He's been like, there's that idiot in the background. That's dad. He's stupid. He doesn't know how to do anything. Whereas the father used to be a place that was revered. The spiritual leader of the home. They were the backbone, the breadwinner, all these different roles that the traditional male played were revered within society and revered within the family. And all that's been just shattered completely. And so now you have a bunch of men who still are men, who still want the same things that you and I do. They want that affirmation. They want to know, hey, at the end of the day, I'm willing to work hard, do what I need to do to provide. That's my natural instinct. But when I come home, I just want to hear, did I do a good job? Did I do what was required of me, of my family? Like, can somebody, not everybody has to rip, roar, and applause when you walk in the door, but you don't want to come home from a hard day's work and then have somebody treat you as if you are subservient and you are this, sort of a peon. And that's what's happened to so many men. So, watch that happening. And I really just feel like men are underserved and underappreciated. And in society and commercial and everything, if you are a man, basically you're the least valuable person of all. There's tons of expectation. There's just no reward. So, and people say, oh, well, you had your day. But, I have a 5-year-old son. When did he have his day? Am I supposed to explain to him, sorry, there's no more heroes. Sorry, there's no more real men anymore. Sorry, there's no more acknowledgement of anything that you do because, quote unquote, men have had their day? Like, that's not, like, we can't do that. So I've had this mantra and this push to try to encourage men and try to help men to really realize that if they can, that they can actually shift the paradigm, that they can actually change the nature of their relationship, as I've done in my home and as I've done with my relationship with my wife, by reclaiming what is the traditional role and by not making it look so ugly as current progressives try to say, that traditional wives and traditional husbands are this passe kind of garbage. It's actually a beautiful thing. And as a man of faith, it's actually a very godly thing. It's the way that we're designed. And we're just going back to that. And I have a great relationship with my wife because we both know that we have this symbiotic relationship where I do certain things that I'm better at and more equipped to do. And she does certain things that she's better at and better equipped to do. So anyway, we're having this conversation, Pierre and I are having this conversation about wanting to get out and motivate men and really feeling like aligned with this premise. And he starts shaking his head. He says, you have to come to this thing. And it's this like ambiguous thing, right? So he's like, you got to come to this thing. And those of you who are watching, if you know about the LW, it's ambiguous. We don't talk about it. It's like Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club: you don't talk about Fight Club. So, I didn't get any information about it. I just trusted as another man who aligns with what I believe. He said, this is going to be amazing and foundational for you. He said, it was incredible for me when I did it, and I really want you to go. I want you to do it. Now, Pierre and I are similar in age. We're similar in our thought processes and everything. He's got children a little bit older than me, but he also lost his father 3 years ago, and I lost mine 2 years ago. So we've commiserated in that. We've kind of gone through that together. But I just trusted that he knew that this was good, and I could see it in his eye that this was something important. So I looked it up. I said, I know nothing about this. I said to my wife, I said, I checked the family schedule. I just want to make sure that there's no conflicts. Let's go. And she said, yeah, do it. She said, if Pierre says it's going to be great for you, I think that would be wonderful. So The only thing he said at all is he came and picked me up and he looked at my wife and he said, I'm going to bring him back a better man. And I believe that it definitely, he was able to uphold that promise because of, Frank, like your leadership and the leadership team that was there the entire weekend. 100%, I came back a better man that not only better just in my soul, like, just by myself, better, but better as how I can be as a husband, better as how I can be as a father, and better as I can be for my agenda to help other men to achieve their greatness and to achieve their best version of themselves. So, um, my experience was a bit mind blowing. I came back. Now I'm a talker. I use my voice a lot for my business. I've been an MC, like I said, and a hype man. I came back, my throat. I had been I had been loud all weekend. I mean, it was just this amazing, all encompassing, cathartic, exciting experience. And I came home and I had a little bit of like a raspy voice, almost like I was losing my voice. And my wife's like, "What is going on?" I said, "I can't really tell you, but I can tell you that it was awesome and that I did indeed come back a better man." So, I mean, I'll tell you one thing right away, just real quick. Take away. I felt walking into my home, I felt like I was truly returning to my dominion. I was really, these are my children. This is my wife. This is my responsibility. I really felt a sense of, um, like ownership of all that was there. Even though I know I technically own my house and everything like that, and I don't like own my children and everything, but I just felt like a responsibility and ownership that was just different from what I had ever had before. And I felt like I was empowered to make the changes that I needed to really be the best I could possibly be.
Thank you. And what I'm hearing, right, this is where my mind goes. I listened intently to what you said, and that was great. But you said when you walked in, you dominion. Listen to the words, dominion, that you owned everything. Right? Owned everything. That's what you did with your arms.
Yep.
That's the castle. That's the king energy, man. You came
Yeah.
home
Yep.
in very aware and very present in your king energy.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about the archetypes up there, but
Yep.
That's what I love about the archetypes. You can hear men's words and hear him. I can hear my words, how I dialogue with myself. Say, oh shoot, I'm being a victim. Oh, I'm being a crybaby. Oh, which is the tyrant of the king, or the shadow of the king. So yeah, it's great. And then we had the conversation about a week afterwards.
Yeah.
And I was still there. So so basically, you got there by trusting another man.
Yes.
Which is great, which is hard for us to do. Right? It's just hard for men to do. I believe it's hard for us to do because DNA. I think that there's a DNA imprint of once upon a time, other men used to kill our babies and steal our women, food, everything, right? So I believe there's an inherent mistrust between men of other men, in our reptilian brain. So all this years I've been doing this men's work, and it's very, very rare that men trust other men easily.
Yeah.
It's another learned skill. And you got to be judicious with it also, but it's still, you got to learn how to get past that reptilian brain. So you're able to trust another man and then take a leap of faith. You said you're a man of faith, so that's great.
Yeah.
So you do, you're in that space, no coincidences, the synchronicity in that energy, the timing. Pierre had shared with me that you were able to switch something around for that weekend, and so that worked out well.
Yeah.
And definitely want to circle back what you said about before, but I want to get into the weekend.
Oh, and can I just tell I told you this story, but I want to say to anybody who's watching about the meetings that I had booked the next morning after the LW.
Yeah, no, we've got to get into that. I just
Okay, I mean that's just you want me to say it later or now or
Yeah, no, later this way people because it'll tie in with
okay,
a couple of things, right? So
okay,
when yeah, we do a couple of things in the early evening on Friday. One of the last things that we do on Friday was ask each man to come up in front of the group, say, what did you come to get and
yeah,
why? And I distinctly remember, and I didn't know you at that point. I knew Pierre had a guest, um, but you would man in the room of one of the 20 men. So I didn't know you at that point. But I remember when you got up in front of that room. Could you share all? Do you remember what you said?
I don't know if I do.
Um, you talked about your dad.
Yeah,
You talked about your dad and him being your dude. That's what I
yeah,
remember. He was my dude,
my guy, my dude. Yeah,
guy, and it was coming up on 2 years
yep.
past,
Tomorrow.
and it was still. I don't remember exactly, but the feeling was it was still painful. It
Yes,
hurt. Missed
yes,
them. Um, you know, that's accurate, right? That's not exactly what
absolutely,
he said, but that's what it was.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean tomorrow's 2 years. Um, and there's days when I miss him like crazy. I think about him all the time because there's so much of what I do that just reflects the way that he is. He was one of these guys that just he gave everything that he was to everybody. He was a very benevolent, considerate human being, and everyone that knew him, he helped everybody. I mean, he was the guy that would stop on the side of the road and help somebody with a broken down car or whatever. He would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drive 8 hours if you broke down, and I mean, like he was the guy that would just help everyone. He was also extremely capable person. He could fix everything, build everything, do anything. I mean, he was literally like the Superman guy. And there's he unfortunately he died of dementia, which is a I got a lot of expletives that I could use to describe dementia, but it stole him from us before he actually died because it just takes away people. And so for about almost 8 years, he was on a slow decline, and then toward the end, he was on a fast decline. But by the time he was almost gone, he didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was. He didn't know that he had the accomplishments that he had. He didn't know that he was a father. All these things that are just that were definitive of who he was. He didn't even know, and it just robbed the world of an amazing human being. And so at that point, we were, praying the hard prayers and just asking God to take him because this wasn't life anymore. And he finally passed on October 31st of 2021. It was Halloween, and my kids were all, out doing their, the candy stuff. And that morning I had gone to see him, and I knew because I saw him. He looked like he was just almost gone anyway. And I got the call, and they said he's gone, and it's never been the same. Like I live like now. I live every day without my dad, and it's one of those things that it happens to everybody eventually. It's just he died way too young. He was only 76 years old, and like I said, he started to decline when he was at the end of his 60s. So he was really young, and like I said, very very capable person. So yeah, when I came to the weekend, I knew um, that we were talking because there was a lot of talk about father, and I like I said that word means a lot to me in so many reasons. I mean, it's I am a father, so that is my favorite name, is that I'm a father. It's my favorite role. Um, my father I had lost. and then my Heavenly Father. And that word Father just means so much to me. And because we were already starting to address it so much, it was really raw. And also the cool thing too, going into it, is as an event producer, a person who always is somehow involved in every event, I didn't have anything to do with producing this event. And I loved that, because I was able to truly enjoy it for the way it was designed. And I was ready to just play all in, and just whatever you guys said to do. And if you wanted to ask pointed questions, I would be willing to answer. And I felt the emotions coming up and everything. So yeah, I thought I maybe thought we were going to be addressing certain things that weekend, and then that it dug deep and had some great experiences.
So what was remind me again how old you are?
I'm 48 now.
48. So your father
in 3 days I'll be 49.
Okay, so your father started his decline when you were 41.
Yeah.
To a little bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of knew about it.
Yeah, right around. Yeah, well, he's been going for 2 years. So I was about late 30s. Yeah, when he first started.
Gotcha. So from that point up until just recently, what was the impact? Or do you know what the impact? You may never been asked this question. What was the impact of having that disconnect with your father and not being able to resolve it emotionally?
I think because it was protracted over so many years, I think that's the only reason why I was able to handle it, because it was like a slow diminishment where I noticed him sort of not remembering certain things, and then it was not being able to do certain things that he could normally do, and then they start to he started to get more like angry and combative, which is not him. And then they start to neglect hygiene. Like he had the military haircut, crew cut all the time, clean shaven every single day. He started letting his hair grow. He started letting his facial hair grow. And I was like, I've never seen my dad's hair longer than like a number one high cut, like, ever. And he started looking like Santa Claus. He had like a white beard. And I'm like, what is going on? And anyway, so because I was watching that happen, I started to realize, like, this is the effect that it had on me. Was I started to have concern that the world and people around him were going to start to remember him as that. And that was terrifying to me, because he was my hero. And now that like pedestal was getting chopped down and chopped down. And people were looking at him as like a liability more than an asset now. And that was crushing to me. And that actually, well, if we're getting deep, let's get deep. That pushed me into when it was October of 2021 is when he died. So, but he died on the 31st of the month. On the 3rd of that month, I had a massive anxiety attack. I had never had that in my life. I had never had anxiety. I'd never had depression. I never had any kind of experience with that at all. But I woke up, shot bolt up in the middle of the night, and I thought I was dying. I didn't know what was going on. My chest was constricted. I thought I was having a heart attack or something. Could barely breathe. And my wife was like, "What is going on?" I had no clue, and I just felt this just deep sense of terror. I don't know why. So I started looking up what anxiety attack was like, and everything that I was feeling was what that was. And it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I thought I was going to go to the ER. I called my friend who's actually an ER doctor, and he's like, "You're having an anxiety attack." He's like, "You got to come in and check it out." But anyway, so it took me to a really, really, really dark place, because anxiety is horrible, because it's literally like the scariest terror feeling, but it just won't let go. And then that then produces other things like insomnia and not eating and all this kind of stuff. And there was a time where I didn't sleep for almost 9 days straight, and that'll kill you. And I just couldn't. My brain would not shut off. So I was just like, boom. So anyway, in that month from October 3rd till my dad died on the 31st, I lost like 20 pounds. I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I felt like emasculated. It was horrible. So when you talk about people who say that they don't have emotions and that they don't, express emotions, if you don't, and I'm an expressive person, right? But if you hold that crap in, your body's eventually just going to say, hey, time out. And this is what happened to me. And my body just shut down. Like, it just said, dude, you're carrying too much. I'm sole provider of the family, trying to do all this stuff, take care of my family, take care of my mom, try to make sure that my dad doesn't like completely ruin his legacy, using that word. And it just shut me down. So fortunately, after he passed, that huge weight was lifted. I knew that now people could, I heard all the stories that were told at his funeral and everything. And I knew that that's how people actually remembered him. And that's what I was so afraid of, was that this amazing man was going to be remembered as like this incapable, weak guy that he had become. So I was reassured. I felt so much better. And then starting November, like that next month, I started back on the upswing, and I've been fine, and, haven't had to deal with that massive, horrible horror that I went through then. So, but that's real. That's as real gets, man. I was completely incapable of living.
Thanks for sharing, man. That was,
Yeah.
Appreciate you taking your mask off there, because there's so many men out there that deal with that.
Yeah.
Not to that level of, maybe even worse.
I found out that anxiety and depression is like the world's dirty little secret, because when I had it, I thought I was alone. And the next thing I know, everybody I talk to, oh yeah, I'm going through that. I'm on this medication. I'm doing this, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm talking everybody. I'm my friends, family members, people I've known my whole life didn't tell me. And now they're like, oh yeah, I deal with that. I was like, what? So yeah, it's out there, and it's out there in a lot of numbers. And my doctor actually said like 80% of the people that come into there have some level of anxiety, depression. Yeah.
And unfortunately or fortunately, I don't want to get onto this anti-karma thing, because when you're dealing in the throes of anxiety like that and depression, having a little something, you need it. A lot of times people need it to balance out, to get a baseline again. But I know personally, for myself and to many people that I work with, when we can take care of our thoughts and really be able to have the tools and skills to manage your thoughts and manage your breathing, then you can manage the anxiety. Not saying you can be anxiety free.
Yeah.
But maybe anxiety turns into worry.
Yeah.
Which is kind of where it starts, right? It's like being worried. You even said it, like it was a slow buildup, and not being able to talk to anyone about it, which kind of goes back to our original thing. Is like we, don't keep it shut down. Not because we want to keep it shut down. We don't know how to say it. It's just this vicious cycle. Like we get caught in. That's really a spiral down for a lot of men.
So I actually learned something, and I don't know if this would be valuable to hear, but I learned something about anxiety that I was told that anxiety manifests itself as things about your life and about your personality that are being taken away, that you don't really have control over. So it's not necessarily as obvious as like somebody dying. That's real obvious. But it's like a part of you that's dying. And at the same time as my father was physically dying, it was COVID years. I own an event production company that I've owned for 20 some years at the time, and events became illegal. You couldn't gather people together. So now this thing that I created, this company that sustained my life and my family for so long, now by no fault of my own, is now just gone. It's just dissolving. And so I was losing that without having any control over it. And then because of that, also I was involved in, like I said, I was involved in church leadership too, and that wasn't meeting anymore. So that was going away, and I love that. I've been doing it for like 15 years, and I was part of a speaking club too. That was all going away. So all these different things were like important pieces of who I was that, for no fault of my own, just what's happening with society at the time, just getting pulled away from me. And so I was like losing myself. And as you lose yourself, that's when anxiety starts to come in. And that was what really kind of pushed me over the edge. But um, and I don't want to go down into all that whole thing because that's obviously like a whole huge topic, but it's definitely it's just out there. And and a key learning for me is that um, I really had to lean on people and learn to tell, like, I'm good with expressing the emotion, but I'm not good with asking for help. And that's another huge thing that men don't seem to want to do, and I'm one of them. And I never wanted to ask for help. I always wanted to help others, but I had to actually be a recipient of help and sort of like humble myself. But then I realized it's not you're not humbling yourself, you're just being human. And we got to learn as men to be human and to lean on each other, because otherwise you're not really a friend. Like if I can't lean on you in a hard time in my life, then you're not really my friend. you know if you only want a drinking buddy or a party friend, or somebody to go hang out and watch a game with you, like, that's like the most surface level friendship ever. But it's like when stuff hits the fan and you're scattered, that's when your real friends show up. So
Yeah, and it's, for me, it's nice when a real friend shows up, but they also have the tools to help me,
yeah,
you know, and not just give me the pat in the back and say everything's gonna be okay. And I'm like,
yeah,
what the fuck you mean everything's gonna be okay? There's
yeah,
no way it's gonna be okay.
yeah, yeah. Well, the
Like,
it's like in math class. Show your work. What do you know that's going to tell me that it's going to be? Don't just tell me I'm going to be okay. Tell me what you know about this situation and me that's going to allow me to know that it's going to be okay. Show your
and,
work.
and that's what I love about the men's works, because when I say to you, you know, when I talk about people about anxiety, it's not because I have never been anxious before.
Yeah,
I know it, and I, talk to how to resolve these thoughts in my head. It's because I've got 10 conversations going up there at all times that I'm aware of. There's probably 100 conversations going up there, but I'm carrying on. Like, I've had social media in my head for 50 years.
yeah,
So how to manage those conversations in my head. And I believe that's the key to mitigating anxiety.
yeah,
I really do, because if we look at that, and I should probably write this down to do a little piece on anxiety and how to manage it from my perspective. Um, it's really about getting the tools to manage the thoughts, which will help manage those emotions, which will in turn manage the hormones that cause the jittery feelings and the
yeah,
insomnia and everything else. It all comes down to how can I best manage my body
yeah,
um, from a somato-emotional, at a somato-emotional level. Body and emotions are so tied in. And so much of that, when these are unproven threats, it's one thing if you walk into a bad neighborhood in a dark alley, right?
yeah.
You're really anxious at that point. That's a good
Right.
thing. But to be sitting in your bed trying to go to sleep and feeling
Yeah,
anxious, that's not normal.
yeah. I mean, it's like
Also,
justifiable fear. That's
right.
justifiable fear versus anxiety.
And,
They're two very different things.
so the justifiable fear is an external threat
Yep.
that we're reacting to, which is a good thing. And the anxiety is this internal threat, for lack of a better word, and it's manageable. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you can make it go away, but I know you can manage it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come without doing the work.
Yeah.
So it's great, like you say, but with people in your life that have the skills to be able to help you through, not even just
Yeah.
show up with a casserole, how nice, but like show up and you help me get through this moment
Yeah.
emotionally.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it
The other side of it.
yeah. It's for me, I think just and so I don't say like switch topics on the anxiety thing, but I feel like just in general, when you get that, like as a man, there's the things that we either take on ourselves or stereotypically take on, but as a sole provider to the family, revenue stream is something that, and Frank, you know this. I mean, you come in, it's in your head every day. There's not a single day that you wake up that you're not thinking about what's my financial status, what am I making, what are my bills, all that kind of stuff, and it's just part of how we exist as men. And I have talked with and worked with a lot of men of all different ages, and it's just in our DNA. That's how we operate. So I think there's a few different things that like are like triggers for me that make me feel uncomfortable just in general, and it's going to be finances is one. So I feel like it's almost like this checklist I had to go through, where if I start to feel like, okay, what's going on, I feel like I'm, something's wrong, like something's off, maybe I'm going to be not, maybe not have like a full kind of an attack or anything, but just like I feel like something's off and I'm anxious about something, just kind of go down the checklist. And for me, it was like, you know, check your family. Is everybody good? Like, kids happy, healthy, your wife happy, healthy, everybody good? Okay, good. Health is another huge one. If there's something going on, like, and you're concerned about that, that's another huge one to push you over. Check on your health. Is your health good? Like, are you able to proceed onward? Then you're good. And then check on your finances. And then it's like, is your financial situation okay? Is it sustainable? Or has it changed at all? Like, I mean, is there any reason why today is worse than yesterday that you somehow feel this awful feeling? So I had to go and learn this sort of mental checklist for myself that was just like, okay, go through this, go through that, go through that. Okay, we're actually okay. I don't have any reason to be concerned about any of those things. So I can put those to the side, and now I don't have to carry those bricks on my back, which helped a lot. But yeah,
Exactly. That's a great
yeah,
tool. So Matt, you just got something valuable, a great tool from, out of the fire,
yeah,
literally out of the fire. So
yeah,
that's great. And yeah, it's great when we open up to other men that have these tools.
yeah,
And, that mental checklist is great. I use that checklist. After going through that checklist, then how about using it as a proactive list?
yeah,
Every day you wake up now and everything's good. Okay, make sure the kids, coming from that place of the king,
yeah,
right? Now it's not just going to be reactive to, wait a second, I'm not feeling good. Are they good? Well, how about when you wake up to the king and say, my role is to make sure that they have everything that they need for today,
yeah,
right? And then you go through my health. Okay, wait a second, I got to take care of everyone. I have to work out today. I got to eat healthy today. Right? So now you can take the checklist
yep,
and make it a to-do list proactively,
yeah.
right? And then you don't have to play catch up. So it's just a way of taking that same tool and switching it around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, more proactive than reactive for sure.
But it's great when we can take our masks off, um, get into that fear that we're having, that I'm having, and share these tools with each other. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what it's about, and that's learning more about myself and learning how to manage those situations for a better outcome.
yeah.
Um,
Eh, to that point about like the taking the mask off part. I always think it's funny when men think that they're being strong by holding back emotions, because like what is really stronger? I mean, you're holding back the emotion because of what? You're afraid judgment from other people because you have emotions. So you're afraid of something, and so you're not doing it. So does that make you strong or weak? Just saying. I think it makes you a lot stronger to be able to not hold back, but to actually be who you really are. You know, like just
uh,
just be it.
I'll probably get this wrong, but I think it was Winston Churchill that said, courage is not the absence of fear; it's doing what needs to be done when fear is present.
Yes.
And so for me, I've learned over the years and how to be um, courageous with my emotions,
Yeah.
and lean into them. and you've seen this. I mean, at the weekend, I was not shy about sharing some things about myself. And,
Yeah.
uh, I mean, that's so what? What's someone going to
Yeah.
judge me? Okay, fine. Like, it doesn't define me. But guess what? I know how to, you know, let it out. Let it out.
Yeah. Oh, we got to see all kinds of Frank Tritini, man. That was good. That was good. I got to see the bold Frank Tritini getting in front of us making proclamations.
Scary, dude.
And no, I told you, listen, I'm going to say this to whoever's watching, but I said this at the end, privately to you. I said, I see a lot of myself in you, the way that you're presenting yourself and everything. And so I felt like an immediate kinship with you from the beginning. So that really helped me a lot, because I'm like, here's this guy that I can really relate to. And I love the fact that it was just so real. Like, all the stuff that was said, I didn't feel like it was this canned, like, you know, I mean, I felt like you were talking to us not as this guy that's like, I have all the information and I'm going to tell you everything and you're just going to sit there and listen. It was like respectful distribution of experience and knowledge. There were some terms and things that I didn't know about. I wasn't really involved with or knowledgeable about the archetypes, but I get it now. And I see a lot of how different men operate, and I can start to identify some of these archetypal behaviors, and also in myself. Um, and But yeah, I think it was really cool to be able to watch you in a position of leadership, but also in a position of like just openness and revealing what's going on with you and your life and your path. And that's why I feel like I always feel like I can be closer with somebody who's just willing to be like, okay, we're going to get rid of this fake crap first, and we're just going to leave that at the door, and then we're just going to get into the real, because I'm not interested in the fake stuff. Like, that's I got no time for that. I got no time for people who present this like, hey, blah blah blah, whatever. I wanted to see the real, and like, you gave us the real, and I dig that, and the whole crew and everybody that spoke, and everybody that even the men that were there, experienced on the weekend. They like, I saw a lot of people just immediately just pull back all that nonsense that they show the rest of the world and just get in. And I was really proud of the men there, and I was really proud of the work that everybody got to do.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. And I appreciate what you said about me. And it's so true, because the experience is not about me. It's not, although I get my cathartic experience, it really is about the men in the seats that come there for this hopefully transformational event.
Yeah.
And when I'm putting my training team together, I tell them, listen, there's only three things you need to do. Three requirements to be on the training team. Number one, you have had to done the weekend.
Yeah.
Right? Number one, you have to have done the weekend. So if you did the weekend, you'd be on the training team. You have to be coachable, and you have to be able to take your mask off in front of the men.
Yeah.
And take the second mask off, right? Because there's layers of these masks. And, and I see the smile, so you know what I'm talking about.
I know. Oh yeah.
So I see it at these weekends where you say you love to see the men take their masks off. And I'm like, oh, it's like they take one mask off and there's just another mask on underneath it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a mask, Tony. Wait a second. I see it.
Yeah.
You just pretended to take a mask
Yeah.
off, another mask.
Yeah.
So there's this layering, right, to really get, go deeper for it to get raw. And really, at the end, to pull that last mask off. And that's probably where you lost your voice on Saturday night a little bit, if my memory serves correct.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because I didn't want to think we're out there, screaming, howling at the moon, but there is some
No.
emotive experiences on Friday night that we're not going to get into.
Plus, I'm sure the weather didn't really help too much. I mean, it was a little,
Perfect.
seasonal weather stuff happened, and
It was a
all
soft
good.
Scottish weekend.
Yes. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, I got the Irish in me. I actually have a little bit of Scottish in me too. So we're brothers from another mother.
Yes, sir.
Um, hey, I would just want to say real quick, if anybody's watching, shout out ho on the comments. Just if anybody's you know listening and commenting. I have a question for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
But why did you want to? Why did you want to talk to me tonight?
Why did I want to talk to you? Um,
Everybody else said no.
no. We've got. I'm going to be doing these live broadcasts on Monday nights at 8 o'clock on Monday nights for the next 5 weeks. We've got 5 men lined up, and you would definitely on my hit list to get on here. Why? Because, like you said, we had this connection that you said you felt. I felt the same thing. Pierre is a dear friend of mine as well, so we've got that in common. Since the weekend, we've connected a little bit, and that feels good. So why wouldn't I want to have you? You
Yeah.
know, you're a good representative of this work that we're doing. So that's really the key. It's like, you can come up. I know you can get on here and continue. You'd be willing to take that mask off and be brave enough and be courageous enough to do that in perpetuity.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit. Like when I do stuff like this, it's like, wait a second. My kids are going to see this.
Yeah.
They're older, and it's like, will that tarnish their memory of me? And I don't think so. I think it's only going to reinforce who I was for them. But it's it's a little daunting sometimes, I think, to get out here and really show the world. It's one thing if I'm in my backyard, my men's circle around a fire with 10 men. I can really take my mask off in that confidential space. But can I do it here in this space? I can't, because I think everything I've said is out there. So I'm not dead or in jail yet. So
that's good. I like how you said yet. Yeah, not yet. Give me a shot.
So I knew you can deliver the goods, and we'd have a great conversation. Every time we talk, it's like, oh shit, how long have we been talking for? So I knew the conversation would be easy.
Yeah.
And I love you, brother, and that's why I want.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. But we have been on for almost an hour.
Yeah.
Well,
which, by the way, I knew was going to happen because it's you and me talking. There's no way. There's no way.
Usually it's me, but a good part of it's been you. So.
Listen, I can talk with paint off a wall. Anybody who knows me knows that. My own daughter called me out the other day, like hardcore, and I was like, thanks. That was like an arrow through the heart. But I said, listen, I talk a lot because I care a lot, and I want to. I'm not just talking to hear myself talk. I'm talking to because I hope that whatever I'm saying lands with somebody in a way that makes them think and makes them maybe, even if it's just in the tiniest bit, makes them a better person or a happier person or anything. It's literally my life goal is just if I meet you for a second in the line at the store and I give you a warm smile or say something nice or whatever, or if I've been friends with you forever, I just hope that whatever my influence is that it's a positive thing and that, you don't walk away being like, ugh, that guy. Just because I feel like that's what we're meant to do, man. Gotta raise each other up. So that's my goal. I just wanted to ask you because I wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure if there's anything specific that was in your head. But I appreciate your commentary, and I will echo right back to you, man. I love you, brother. I'm really glad that we met, and it means a lot to me to have really good men in my camp. That's huge.
It's important. It's important. And, as we've talked on this conversation, what's really come across is this king energy,
Yeah.
you that you've has always been there for you. And what you just said about how you wanted people to remember you and what you want to be there for people is almost verbatim to what you told me at another time of how your father was,
Yeah.
who he was in the world.
Yeah.
Right? So what I think might have happened during the weekend, energetically, archetypically, is you were the prince. You were the prince growing up in the shadow of the king, waiting your turn. And you saw the king in declining health. And your job was to step up, but you didn't know if you could protect his legacy. How people were going to remember him. And probably not, but how is that going to reflect on you? We won't get into that sideshow of it, but how does that reflect on you that you couldn't do it, right? That responsibility that you should do it. It's still that weight, right? That you have to do this. So that's a reflection on me, what I'm holding that weight. If it's because of that weight, then I'm responsible for it. So I'm holding it.
Yeah.
But managing it, right? Can I manage this weight? Or do I have to hold it? Do I have to hold it? Do I have to keep holding it? Right? And that's what happens. Or can I manage it? Wait a second, I got it in a box. Let me put it over here. So you were the prince managing this energy of the king.
Yeah.
And then you lose your buddy. You lose your dude. You lose your king. And now you have to ascend. But there's still this boy that just lost his hero.
Yeah.
That emotional wound that's there. It's there for so many men. I lost my father when I was 23. No, he was 57. I was 23.
Too young.
So I get that. Like, not what is that void, like, not being able to fill it, and not having anyone to fill it. But I wasn't able to ascend out of that. Less than 2 years later, you did a legacy weekend.
Yeah.
Where we talk a lot about fathers, a lot about legacy, a lot about returning the arc of male initiation and returning home as a provider. Stepping into that king energy, which is probably where you stepped in and return to the sacred circle. I'm guessing you stepped into the king. I don't know. But I'm guessing that's probably where you stepped into. And then you come home. And I just want to wrap this up with this great story.
Yeah.
About Monday.
Yeah.
On your return home, and when men, it's out there listening, when you come home from these weekends, it's training. We pour it all out. Everyone is there, production, training, participants. We leave it all on the floor. And you come back, you're so full, but so depleted. Not even, I don't even, it's just, but it's good. It's good.
It's amazing. It's amazing, but also exhausting. It's like if you come home from like a festival or something and you've had the most exhilarating, you've been listening to the greatest music and just exerting yourself for so long, you come home and you have amazing memories and feelings and emotions, but you are exhausted. So I came home, I left Friday. Again, the biggest and funniest thing, because everybody kept looking at me like I was a unicorn. I had never done anything in men's work, archetypal work. I had no idea what I was even going into. But all I knew is that I was only just told, like, just play it all out. So everything that I did, I just did it in full. So I had an amazing weekend. We do a lot to address the role and the name of father and everything like that. I come home and I forgot that I had booked 2 meetings for business, and it was for things that I'm doing to build my I had started a new business, and I had 2 meetings back to back early morning Monday, right after I just came home. So I was tired. My first meeting said that they wanted to meet at this one cafe. I had never been there before. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go there and I'll also book the second one at that same one so I don't have to leave because they're right back to back. I don't want to have to travel. So I booked my second one there as well. I go into the cafe and I'm like 5 minutes early. I walk in, they just opened. And as I walk in, it's this little cafe, probably like 25 minutes from my house. And it's one of these cafes. They got booths all around the walls, and then they have like tables in the middle. But on the walls, they have all these pictures of different patrons and stuff like that that had come in there. So the lady says, pick whatever table you want. So I just go walking over to this one booth, and I'm about to sit down, but I knew that the guy I was meeting would be getting here any minute, and out of respect, I wanted to be standing. So I see him walking across the parking lot. And before he comes walking in, I turn and I look right above the booth that I went to sit down in, the one that I chose in this restaurant that I have never been to. I see a picture of my mother and father sitting right there, framed, looking right down at me. Like, what? Like, what? Like, first of all, like I've never been to this place. And then I had the choice of any spot that I could have chosen. And I gravitated to this one booth, went over there, and then just happened to look on the wall and see. And there's my parents looking at me, my father and my mother. But I say my father because he was gone. And we had just talked about it a lot. And I had just been through this big cathartic thing. And here's this new legacy that I'm trying to have for my children by these business meetings I'm having. And here's my dad looking right at me. And I was like, all right. Like I said, I don't believe in coincidences. My faith doesn't allow that one. And this was a huge like nod from my father, just saying, I'm still your guy. And I'm watching you and I'm proud of you. And it was awesome. I almost made it through, Frank. I almost made it through without crying. And I'm not trying to hold back. I told you, don't hold back your tears.
Oh.
But I was just so absolutely blown away at that. And I had to tell you, I called Frank. I'm like, you are not going to believe what happened. And he's like, what? So,
yeah,
Dad, thank you for still being my dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to me, that was just. And you got to do those 2 meetings. What did I say when you told me this? You got to do those 2 meetings with your dad sitting on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I just see that as he's always been there for you.
Yep.
And he's still there for you, whatever capacity he can be. But
yep.
That legacy and that king energy, if you're looking at it from the energy, that king energy that he had, who he was, that's who you are, dude. You know, and I just thought it was so great that you were that present
Yeah.
to be able to see it. And even though you did get emotional,
yeah,
I'm guessing that if you didn't do the weekend, that same thing had happened, your experience would have been way different in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I would have just been like, oh my gosh, look at that. My parents are here. That's weird. Not like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? My father is here with me, watching me on this incredible. Yeah, man.
The experience that we had with the father and dealing all that and saying what he needed to say. And he was like, yep, I'm still here with you, brother.
No, so good.
With you. So
what an absolute gift. Like, I'm just like, thanks, Dad. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
exactly. Still giving. He's still giving. Like, you know? So, yeah.
All right, my brother. Let's wrap it up. It's been great. Maybe we can do this again in the future.
Thank you.
But I'm sure we'll see each other before then.
Yes, absolutely.
All right,
man, express your heart, dudes. Express your heart. If you're watching, express your damn heart. Don't be afraid.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it. And anybody watching, thank you guys. Take care.